Welcome to the bold analysis. The Parliament of the Republic of Kenya resumed its sessions after a 3 weeks break. Of course, that was occasioned by the shocking storm of Parliament by Protestants on 25th of June. And Parliament went for recess. Actually, I understand that recess was supposed to be there even if there was that, even without that parliamentary storm. The pending businesses was including the vetting of the nominated cabinet that President Ruto named, and also finality, or rather putting some closure on the controversial finance bill that was returned back to the House by the President. And to the surprise of parliamentary journalists, UDA parliamentarians who have been out here supporting the Kenya Kwanza agenda, and even those who voted for the finance bill, were conspicuously missing in that house. But the mood of the building was really set. And from just the debates and the discussions there, so much is at stake. So in this podcast, I will explain the absence and the tricks that UDA MPs, why the UDA MPs are finding themselves in a big fix as much as the cabinet vetting and the finance bill discussions are supposed, or rather are concerned. Beatrice Elachi actually set the tone. The statement by Elachi set the tone for the House on the calling for sobriety for the guest house to at least have some soberness when dealing with some of the matters at hand, because they hold the fate for the country.
So, Mr. Speaker, all of us, 290 honorable members, it is time we redeem ourselves in doing what is right. In the morning, I was a bit sad, Mr. Speaker. You see, we have come back to heal. I want to pray for both sides. Can we heal? Can we heal so that the country heals? Can you imagine, Mr. Speaker, today, even civil servants have a holiday on Tuesdays. They don't go to work. And we are here as leaders joking with Kenya, and we are here, we're supposed to help the president to bring back that Kenya we are crying for. But when I look at the way we throw each other words, I am wondering, who are we in this house? Are we also with the same problem? That is where we must start, in our heart. Even our clerk is feeling hurt. He said he was disappointed, which is true. Many of us were disappointed. We were supposed to come to see, how do we resurrect Kenya? Today, Bunyala Road, where, Mr. Speaker, all these places.
Now, it all started by allegations, while the government side and those who voted for finance bill were battling allegations of receiving 2 million. These allegations were raised by Juja Member of Parliament, Kiyombiri, who said that a section of MPs received some bribe of 2 million from the State House to vote for the finance bill. But that seemed not to be it. The statement by Wetangula on the cabinet reshuffle that President Ruto had allegedly made is what will then start the debate. And the reaction of the members of Parliament after that statement is what is really showing you that there is a problem somewhere.
Honorable Professor Kithure Kindiki, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior and National Administration. Dr. Deborah Mulongo Barasa, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Health. Honorable Alice Wahome, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. Dr. Julius Migos Ogamba, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Education. Honorable Rosalinda Soipan Tuya, AGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Defense. Dr. Andrew Mwihia Karanja, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Order. 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 On order. Honorable Rosalinda Soipan Tuya, AGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Defense.
Of course, William Ruto made a last-minute decision to switch Duale from defense to environment, and Soipan Tuya from environment back to defense. I would want to say something about Soipan Tuya. I think I have seen online some online statements being made. I wish we judge Soipan Tuya based on her performance and we refrain from the sexualist statements that have been laced. I think that is a diversion from the public scrutiny, looking at the personality of her, whether she had problems of marriages or all that. I think that should not be the point. Rebecca Miano's name, who is supposed to be our next Attorney General, her name was missing in that list. And a report emerged that she had asked the president to relieve her from that appointment so that she will be given lighter duties. Another conflicting statement have also come in the evening that President Ruto has rejected her rejection of Attorney General appointment. In that, and probably we'll look at how that will say. But just looking at the picky-ponky that President Ruto have had in cabinet, reshuffling cabinet left, right, and center, it brings to question. The president, when he was announcing that cabinet, said that he's been consulting widely. I don't know whether he is really consulting widely, because some of these picky-ponky games just shows that these wide consultations are not even wide, but wild. Some people say there is wide consultations and wild consultations. So those consultations, I really doubt whether the appointments were done on consultations. Now, several UDA members of parliament who voiced their support for the State House were conspicuously missing. And the majority side, the opposition seat were left vacant. The vetting of the cabinet slots is a big concern for the ruling party, since quite a number of MPs also have reservations by the president's conduct when making those appointments. And if you want to know, the die is cast and the stage is set for a big clash. You can just get what Junet Mohammed was promising the new nominees that are supposed to face the parliament, that they are going to face the music.
Mr. Speaker, this time and this period in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell members, my colleagues, that vetting of this CSS is not going to be business as usual. This time, Mr. Speaker, and this time, Mr. Speaker, I repeat for the third time, if somebody is not suitable, if somebody is not capable, if somebody doesn't have the capacity, we are going to throw him out, Mr. Speaker. We must do justice to Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, and we must do our work properly this time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I participated in the vetting of the last CSS, Mr. Speaker. We know what people told us in that vetting, and we know there are people who have come back. If your records of net worth is not colluding or is not balancing, Mr. Speaker, just know we will throw you out of the window, not even the door. Mr. Speaker, the responsibility of making sure who is suitable and who meets the requirement of becoming a CS is vested in this House, Mr. Speaker, through the Parliamentary Approval Act.
Honorable Junet,
I'm finishing, Mr. Speaker.
you are a member of the vetting committee.
Mr. Speaker, I'm concluding. To make sure, especially for those who are in offices before and who have been brought back, you will see what we are going to do to you people, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I am prepared for the vetting committee to kutana na hiyo watu mundu kumundu. Mundu kumundu. Mundu kumundu.
Thank you. Yes, Kamket. Remember, honorable members, we don't debate communication such as this. Yes, Kamket.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while what you've read could be contradictory to what we heard the President announce, well, I would like you, Mr. Speaker, to confirm, indeed, that what you've read is actually what was communicated by the head of state. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I have heard the Honorable Junet threatening those cabinet nominees. The Honorable Junet, Mr. Speaker, while the bar must be raised high for anyone appointed to cabinet, Mr. Speaker, or any other public position, we do not also expect that we are going, or His Excellency the President is going to appoint angels into cabinet. So, in as much as Honorable Junet is here threatening those nominees, even him, Honorable Junet, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. And therefore, he must not stand here and threaten the careers of other Kenyans as if he's a very clean man. Even him, we know him also, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
And you can see that the only MP that really confronted Junet was Kamket, the TRT member of parliament. Quite a number of UDA MPs have coiled their tails. Not speaking, not there. Vocal MPs, Oscar Sudi, Kimani Kuria. Kimani Kuria was the chairperson of finance bill. So this finance bill that triggered the anti-government protest was actually being, the custodian of that document was Kimani Kuria, the Molo member of parliament. Ndindi Nyoro, head of budget committee in the National Assembly, no speech, was actually not even there. Gladys Boss Sholei, the deputy speaker, I understand she was supposed to spearhead the afternoon session after the second session after Wetangula. She was nowhere, and Kaluma was the person now to take charge. Silvanus Osoro, this is the chief whip of the ruling party. You can figure around, you could not see. Some of them actually understood were in the chamber, actually the offices around the chamber, but did not go to the parliament. The parliamentary journalists were really trivializing this matter. Mwangi Kiunjuri, Sabina Chege, Mohamed Jichopevo, quite a number of many UDA members of parliament in the tune of 80 were missing in the house. This was a very significant session, now that it was coming, the first one after all that. Most MPs could even get their way there. They muted the mics, and some of them skipped under some very lame excuses. President's move to recycle some members of the cabinet amidst hostility from the population has been a major concern by many people, raising the fact that probably the administration is tone deaf. Sharp divisions emerging in the ruling party about the fate of their political careers is really a big thing. And if you want to understand that the new cabinet reconstitution is a headache for President Ruto, just seeing some breaking news that Nakhumicha has suffered mild stroke and has been rushed to Nairobi Hospital. Yeah, Nairobi Hospital. So already her position had been replaced. She had been replaced by another person. Ford Kenya Party were also divided on whether the new appointee is a member of the party or not, or how much about what and what not about it. But you can see the new reshuffle. For example, now the discussion now be centered around also Nakhumicha. Recently, and that is the family of Nakhumicha has confirmed, we hope, we also pray for quick recovery. Recently, when members of parliament accompanied William Ruto in Bomet for the church service on Sunday, they were not allowed to speak. In fact, the president just acknowledged their presence, just given time to wave, but they were not allowed to do any speech in that event. But contrary to that, a caucus of MPs from central Kenya that are aligned towards Rigathi Gachagua have been coming out bravely to say they are not going to okay a clique of cabinet members that were blamed to be enjoying opulence at the behest of service delivery.
Wenye tumechaguliwa, wenye tunaenda bunge, MCA, MP, senators, kutengeneza sheria. Mimi I'll still nitakuwa nafuata hiyo. Nikisikiza waseme hapana, wenye walinipatia kazi, nitakuwa nasema hapana. Wakisema niseme ndio, nasema yes, kwa sababu hawa ndio wametupea kazi. Moderator, nimesikia lazima tukue na wakati tunaweka hawa ministers kwa ratiri, lazima tuangalie wenye hawana kiburi, wenye wanakuja kuserve wananchi, wenye hawatakuja kutapikia wananchi, wenye wataheshimu kila mmoja wetu. Kwa hivyo mimi kama mjumbe wa Embakasi Central, mimi na kuhakikishia wakifika bunge, wenye wamekuwa na kiburi, mimi sipitishi. Wenye hawana heshima na raia, mimi sipitishi. Na nitasikiza sana vile watu watasema, kwa sababu nyinyi ndio mliniweka kwa hii kiti. It is not because ati mimi ndio mwerevu sana kuliko watu wa Embakasi Central. It is not because that I'm the richest.
Kwanza ni kusema asanti kwa rais kwa sababu ya ile decision alifanya ya kusikiza wananchi. Na hiyo decision ni the same decision mimi nilifanya ya kusikiza wananchi. Na tumesema serikali ya kwenda mbele ni serikali ambayo inahitaji wale watu wanafanyia watu kazi. Tunataka serikali ambayo haionyeshi wananchi madharau after wamepewa nafasi. Kama wewe umepewa nafasi kama waziri, ujue ya kwamba umepewa nafasi, agenda ile tuliweka kwa manifesto ya rais iweze kukua achieved na iweze kuwa ni yenyewe pekee inaongelelewa katika mawaziri na katika maneno ambayo mawaziri wanaongea. Na nimeona pia kuna mabadiliko ambayo inakuja. Wale mawaziri ambao walifanya njia na maneno ya serikali isiongelelewe, tunaongea maneno ya nguo zao, tunaongea maneno ya masaa zao, au wawekwe kando, kwa sababu tunataka serikali ambayo inajua ile kitu ambayo inataka kufanya. Saa hizi hatutaki kujua mtu ni wa kabila gani, hatutaki kujua mtu ni mtu light skin ama dark skin. Tunataka mtu wa kazi. Na mimi nataka kuona pia wale watu wapya wakileta new ideas katika the achievement ya rais maneno yao. Kwanza hii maneno ya masomo ni maneno ambayo imechanganya wananchi sana. Hii maneno ya JSS tunataka waziri ambaye anaweza sukuma tuweze kukua na easy way of doing JSS ama in CBC classes. Tunataka mtu ambaye anaeleza hao wananchi maneno ya the new funding model, kwa sababu bado watu wetu wamechanganikiwa katika hiyo maneno ya funding model. Ili mtoto wetu akienda university akiletewa kitu ambayo inasema school fees ni 100,000, anashangaa, then sasa scholarship inaingilia wapi? Wacha watu wafunzwe na waweze kuwa mbele katika hiyo maneno. Na mimi tukirudi bunge tunarudi kufanya vetting. Mtu yoyote ambaye wananchi hawaoni yako sawa, mimi nitafanya public participation. Ndio nikienda bunge nijue na represent idea na ile maneno ambaye wananchi wameniambia ili niweze kuwa sawa katika representation yangu.
So you will understand that the whole thing about cabinet vetting and reconstitution of government is causing a lot of trouble. And I want to tell you the reason why UDA MPs are in a big dilemma and now finding the House is getting disgruntled is because of these factors. The first factor I'm seeing here is the cabinet, Ruto's cabinet blunder will squarely be billed on the parliament, just like the finance bill. And MPs, we are going to see whether MPs are going to make the same mistake. Finance bill, the president forced it. They tried to meet president in State House and said it was unpopular, let's withdraw it, but the president said you go and pass it. So the day they passed it, things went bad and it had to be withdrawn. So that bill was withdrawn, but the MPs who passed it were found themselves on the receiving end because the members of the public were publicly lynching them. Some of their houses were visited and some MPs were greeted. So that is a big thing for Kenya Kwanza, and they're feeling, even MPs, by the way, if you talk to even this channel, I have friends who are UDA, pro-UDA. When you talk to them, the country seemed to be in agreement that all the cabinet appointees that had worked with William Ruto for the first 2 years, and he dissolved the cabinet, the most honorable thing that the head of state ought to have done is to ensure that all of them are sent home. In fact, it's also for his own peace. For example, now you've returned 6. The moment you retain some, there is pressure for those remaining because all those others are waiting. I remember there is a section of UDA leaders that are asking president, why not reappoint Owalo? Owalo have not had any single scandal. I may also ask, anyway, why didn't you then reappoint Owalo? Because Owalo have not had any scandal. Anyway. And Penina Malonza, the another team behind Penina Malonza have also been asking questions. Why is it that Penina Malonza is not being reappointed? So a decision to fire all of them home was also going even to save him some of these troubles. The cabinet members that are not going to be reappointed, because it's now open that 5 people have been injected. So those who are not going to be reappointed will raise questions, oblivious of the current street protest. The other third thing here is cabinet changes, and I can tell you this. These cabinet changes have some harboring some effect on breaching power sharing deal of the UDA party. Hey. Yes. One of the documents that William Ruto have to keep and shred and ban is a document called power sharing. And maybe, thank God that they had one party. So the other fringe for Kenya, the ANC party. So if you look at Mount Kenya, for example, Mutahi Kahiga had said they were asking for 8 cabinet slots. If you look for UDA party, there are those who believe that they are entitled to a cabinet slot. That is the least they can settle for. And even much as we speak about this, Opondo Kaluma is very disgusting, though. I don't even want to analyze that. Opondo Kaluma seems to be insisting that there are names that Raila forwarded to the president, and so Raila Odinga must also, those names must also be presented there before they pass any, before they vet the cabinet. So the stakes in that cabinet are so high. They are beyond, in fact, let me tell you, in the eye of politicians, they're not reading the Gen Z mood. They believe that Gen Z can be managed through the police and the bullets. But for them, Ruto should look into that power sharing deal. And that is why the vetting is a big headache for them. They're waiting whether UDA MPs from parts of the country are going to okay some cabinet slots. It isn't that. And that is why you can see people now skipping some of those events. And Murko and the speaker has also given them some leeway that even on discussion on finance bill, it will not need the 2/3. It will need the 2/3 of the House for a member of parliament to appeal for reinstatement for any clause that President Ruto squashed to be reinstated. But it will just need the overall majority for the document to be squashed to go. So they might leave it for the opposition to throw that document, that finance bill, in the dustbin. The other third aspect is Kenya Kwanza risk going down. For politicians, it's about the interest first. And let me tell you, no MP is in parliament to serve the interest of the president. No. Everyone for himself. Kenya is a capitalist. So people are also evaluating. Now we are going back to parliament. The president has appointed the cabinet, his cabinet, the batch 11. The public are saying, they're revolting, they're saying, we don't want it. Now as an MP, do I okay, do I not? Who do I stand with? Do I stick with the president or do I stick with the people? For example, now, there is nothing like UDA or Azimio in the streets. The people. So people are also, MPs are also finding it difficult because you come out strongly defending Kenya Kwanza, you are marked as an enemy of the people. And you know, after 5 years, in 2027, you are going to face an election to keep your political career. And so, MPs also have to outweigh. Do I stick with the president? Because how about if he goes home? There are MPs that will be comfortable. Let Ruto go home, but I retain my position. The other aspect is the Ruto broad-based government has rattled the ruling party. For example, I read a Nation's article that was saying, if you look at the cabinet constitution, the five most powerful ministries in government is Treasury, Interior, Security, Roads, Energy, and which other one? Treasury, Interior, there's two most. Then you have Roads, then you have Energy, then Defense. Out of the 5 that I have mentioned, the only one that is not there is that has not been sorted is actually Treasury, Roads, Treasury, and the Energy. So those are the only 2 remaining outside. So there is a lot of stakes of things happening behind the scene, and that is even MPs are finding themselves in a big fix. Do you pass it as it is, or do you question and really move forward? That is my take. Thank you, guys.